In this video, I will show you how to make your first $1,000,000 if you're only earning minimum wage right now. Right before we begin, this is not financial nor legal advice. You should do your own research and make your own decisions. I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I an attorney. YouTube is full of obnoxious, loud-mouthed doofuses driving Lamborghinis while claiming that if you buy their crap program, book, or course, you'll become a millionaire right away. But you have to act fast because it's only a limited time offer. Look, one of the first things my parents taught me is that if it's a good investment today, it'll be a good investment tomorrow. If you have to act fast, then it's probably a scam. Scammers don't want you to take the time to think about it because if you did, you'd see that it is a scam. I'm not selling you any books, courses, nor investments. That's how you know this video is legit. Now, before we begin, you might be surprised to find that we have to adjust your mindset. A person with a poor mentality will be a poor, no matter how much money we give him. For example, 80% of those who win the lottery lose it all within 2 years. They don't record statistics after 2 years, but I'm willing to bet that if you looked at lottery winners after 10 years, 99% of them would have lost most of their money. Why? Because they have a poor mentality. My grandfather lost his entire fortune in a bad business deal, but he bounced back and made his millions back in just 5 years. How? Because he had a wealth mentality. Poor people always listening to rap music with chants about money and biatches, money and biatches. But you know what? They got no money and they have no biatches. And what biatches they have zero loyalty. Why? That's because these people seek out money. However, you might be surprised to find that money is not wealth. Money is just something rich people invented to control poor people. You know, Mao Zedong and Stalin never had a bank account. But can you say that they're poor? You might be surprised to find that people are wealth, not money. Rich people look for people and passion, while poor people look for money. I've met with and talked with Kenny Rogers, Barbara Streisand, Bruce Springsteen, Mark Cuban, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, just to name a few random people off the top of my head. When I asked these people why they did what they did, none of them said it was because they wanted to make more money. All they did because they were passionate about what they did. Kenny Rogers, Barbara Streisand, and Bruce Springsteen became successful because they were passionate about music, not because they wanted money. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar loved basketball, and Mark Cuban loved finding bargains that he could build up. All of these people did not become successful in a vacuum. They all were part of a team that helped them and believed in them. You might be surprised to find that true wealth is the team of people you surround yourself with, not money. And you build wealth with passion, not greed. However, all of this is just theory. What's important is this. Has anybody ever made over $1,000,000 with the advice in this video while still in his 20s? More importantly, can you duplicate what this person did? You might be surprised to find that the answer is yes. This guy, Nick, who was my assistant at work, Nick became a multimillionaire in his 20s, even though he had no college education, and this is his story. Nick used to work for me. He was a good friend, but he was a horrible employee because he was kind of lazy. I chatted with him over lunch one day as a friend, and I remarked that he really didn't enjoy working for me in the pharmacy. I know that he really enjoys working on cars. In his spare time, Nick loved to install turbochargers and nitrous kits to make cars go faster. He was always helping friends wrap their cars to make them look cooler. So I asked him, why don't you make your car hobby your side hustle? He said that he didn't have the money to pay for deposit and rent to start his own business. I told him that he didn't need to do that. He could just start his own website and Facebook page to get customers. Then he could wrap other people's cars in their driveway or garage. He said that he didn't know how to make a website. I offered him my services as a free web designer. This, folks, is why true wealth is people. He would have never started his business without my help and encouragement. Everyone who has ever become wealthy was helped there by the people on his team, Nobody ever became wealthy in a vacuum. In order to make your first million, you need to have an investment nest egg. I suggest that you work 2 jobs for 10 months to a year, and that your second job is something you enjoy doing. The reason for this advice is because if you do something that you don't enjoy doing for more than 1 year, you will burn out. Working a second job for 1 year, you should be able to make $10,000. YouTube is full of investment advice videos that tell you that your initial investment nest egg has to be at least $100,000. This is bull crap, because there's no way anyone making minimum wage could ever save up $100,000. In order for someone making a minimum wage to save up $100,000, that person would have to work 2 jobs for 9 years. That person would burn out way before accomplishing his goals. These financial advice gurus on YouTube don't know what the heck they're talking about. All you need to do is to save up an initial investment nest egg of $10,000. If you live in a very competitive job market where it's very difficult to get a second job, then I suggest you drive for DoorDash and Uber Eats. Now, I'm not just mouthing off and telling people to do stuff I have no experience with. I actually drove for DoorDash and Uber Eats for a couple of months. If you only deliver food during peak pay times, during special events, inclement weather, and at night, you could easily make $10,000 after taxes in a year. I would not recommend working full-time as a food delivery driver, because then some of your work hours will be during times when there is no extra pay or peak pay. Also, I would not recommend driving people around for Uber, because some people are crazy and I don't feel like getting into a gunfight. After he saved up $10,000, I told him to do his own research and find a quality investment. I advised him to invest in something that is a good long-term investment. I told him not to be a trader. Traders constantly buy and sell. The problem with this approach is that every time you buy and sell an investment, you generate a capital gains taxable event. It's best that you buy and hold an investment forever, so you'll delay paying that capital gains tax as long as possible. After a couple months of research, Nick told me that he was going to invest in Bitcoin. At this time, I did not know what Bitcoin was. This was December of 2013. He described it to me, and I thought he was totally crazy. How can Bitcoin be money if it was not made legal tender by the government? I mean, who would accept Bitcoin as money? Nick then proceeds to show me a website called the Silk Road, where people actually accepted Bitcoin as money to buy and sell things on an online marketplace. I was flabbergasted. This totally blew my mind. Nick asked me what I thought of his intention to invest his nest egg all into Bitcoin. I told him that I had no advice for him because I knew nothing about Bitcoin. I advised Nick to do some more research before making his decision. So I repeated the investment advice my parents gave me. If it's a good investment today, then it'll be a good investment tomorrow. Do some more research and think about it. You don't have to decide today. Conventional investment advice is to diversify your investments by investing in 20 or more different things. However, this is only good investment advice if you have a larger nest egg of $100,000. With only $10,000, you don't have the luxury of investing in your second, third, fourth, and fifth best ideas. If you have to invest your entire nest egg in your best ideas, otherwise it'll take you forever to reach $1 million with only a $10,000 investment. So Nick did some more research on Bitcoin, and a couple weeks later, he passionately told me that all the money in the world in the 21st century will be digital, and Bitcoin will be at the center of this revolution. In a world where you can buy stuff online, it makes no sense for money to be bits of green paper. Money will have to be digital. Nick did the math, and he calculated that if all money in the world became Bitcoin, then Bitcoin will be worth 10,000 to 100,000 times more. Nick enthusiastically told me that if the paradigm of all global money shifted to the Bitcoin standard, it would bring about world peace. The US dollar is not backed by gold anymore. It is backed by American arms. America forces other countries to use the dollar for international trade. Saddam Hussein wanted to trade oil for gold instead of dollars. Shortly after this announcement, America invaded Iraq. The same thing happened to Gaddafi in Libya. Gaddafi was murdered by an armed revolution soon after his announcement that he wanted to create a Pan-African dollar backed by gold to use for international trade. If Bitcoin were used for international trade instead of the dollar, there would be a lot less wars, Nick told me. So in January of 2013, Nick bought $10,000 in Bitcoin at roughly $13 per Bitcoin. I helped him pay his Bitcoin by sitting in the corner of Starbucks with my pistol ready. At that time, Cash App did not exist yet. In order to buy Bitcoin, you had to bring your laptop to a local coffee shop that has Wi-Fi. You pay some sketchy guy cash, and the guy will send you Bitcoins to your laptop. Notice that Bick invested in something that he was passionate about. This passion is important. True wealth is the people you surround yourself with, and you build that wealth with passion. Because Nick was so passionate about that Bitcoin is going to change the world for the better, he never sold all his Bitcoin. Most people that bought Bitcoin either sold when their investment 10x'd or 100x'd, or they panic sold when Bitcoin crashed by going down 80%. Anyways, Nick bought Bitcoin when it was $13 per Bitcoin in January 2013. He bought 750 Bitcoins and invested $10,000. In January of 2018, he sold 300 Bitcoins at $13,000 per Bitcoin. He sold 300 Bitcoins for $4 million. He paid his income taxes and bought a house on the beach in Florida. He started a small business where he wraps cars and installed racing parts to make cars go faster. This was when he was 25 years old. He kept 450 Bitcoins, and today, those 450 Bitcoins are worth $45 million. Now, please don't misunderstand and think that I'm telling you to invest in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a great investment, but you should do your own research. As a matter of fact, I reported some faulty information about Bitcoin in one of my past videos. I said that the value of Bitcoin could 10x if it replaces all the money in the world. I derived this value by dividing the M1 and M2 money supplies by the total number of Bitcoins at the time of the video. However, what I said was in error because I failed to take into account that because fiat money is inflationary, people tend to store money not in money, but in other investments such as gold, stocks, and real estate. This causes gold, stocks, and real estate to be overvalued. How much are these other investments overvalued? In the 1700s, when money was not inflationary because money was gold, dividend-paying stocks that were safe generally paid a 5% dividend. Today, very safe stocks such as Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Procter & Gamble generally pay a 3% dividend. This means that stocks are roughly 40% overvalued. If everyone adopts Bitcoin as the non-inflationary money of the world, then Bitcoin could capture that overvalue of all global stocks, real estate, and gold. If this becomes true, then Bitcoin's value could 100x. How do you know when your little $10,000 investment will turn into $1 million? You have to calculate the capex of your potential investment. My grandparents taught me that as long as you know math, you'll never be poor. The good news is that if you don't know how to do math, it can be learned. So I'm going to teach you how to do a capex or capital efficiency calculation. In order to simplify, capex number tells you how fast an investment will turn your money into more money. If anybody ever tells you, trust me, bro, if you invest in this, you make $1 million in no time. But this person cannot tell you the capex of the investment, then it is a scam. If you invest based on emotions but not numbers, then it is a scam. To do a capex calculation, you need the following capex formula. Dollars investment N equals dollar investment start times 1 plus annual percent increase in stock price as a decimal to the power of years investment is held. For example, if you were to calculate capex of Tesla, we ignore the stock price in its first 4 years because new companies grow faster. But Tesla is not a new company anymore. It's an established company. We put the capex formula into a spreadsheet and use the following numbers. Investment start or the stock price on August 1st of 2014 is $17.98. Investment end or the stock price on November 1st of 2021 is $381.59. The year's investment held is 7.25 years, from one bull market peak to another bull market peak. $381.59 equals to $17.98 times 1 plus annual percent increase in stock price as a decimal to the power of 7.25. This gives us the annual percent increase in stock price as a decimal of 5.24. Anyways, we put these numbers and formula into a spreadsheet. Then we try different numbers in annual percent increase in stock price as a decimal until we calculate an investment end that's the same as the actual investment end of $381.59. Doing so, we get an annual percent increase in stock price as a decimal of 5.24. Converting that to a fraction by multiplying that by 100, we get 52.4%. In other words, Tesla stock has earned shareholders an average of 52.4% per year in 7.25 years. Fill out how long will it take for your Tesla stock investment to 10x. You fill out the CapEx equation using today's stock price for Tesla as the investment start is equals to $355.84. Annual percent increase in stock price as a decimal is 0.524. $3,558.40 equals to $355.84 times 1 plus 0.524 to the power of years investment is held. Doing this math, we get years investment held equals to 7.3 years. Then we try different numbers as the years investment is held until the result, investment end, is equal to 10 times today's stock price. Doing the math here, we figure out the Tesla stock should 10x in value after 7 years. Doing the same math for Amazon, we get 26.7 years, and with Bitcoin, we get 9.8 years. In other words, it would take 10 years for Bitcoin to 10x, while it takes Amazon 27 years to 10x. In order to turn $10,000 into $1 million, we need to 100 times your investment. Multiplying the years to 10x by 2, we get the following numbers. It takes Tesla 14 years to 100x. It takes Amazon 54 years to 100x, and Bitcoin 20 years to 100x. Now, please keep in mind that past performance is not necessarily a predictor of future performance. Also, a company can't keep growing forever. At some point in time, the growth will slow or stop. When will Tesla stop growing? What's the end game? I invite you to watch my high-risk investment strategy video to find out. I've showed you my best investment ideas. I invite you to share what your investment ideas are by posting them in the comments below. Once you reach $1 million in net financial worth, making more money will be easier because you will have more choices and resources available. There are a lot more investments and opportunities that are not available for you if you invest in, unless you are an accredited investor or an investor that has over $1 million in net assets after subtracting debt. For example, only accredited investors are allowed to invest in hedge funds, IPOs, private equity, and stocks that aren't publicly traded. For example, SpaceX stock is not publicly traded, so it's only available to accredited investors. Now, keep in mind that this statement is an oversimplification because you can invest in these things even if you don't have $1 million if you meet certain criteria. Anyways, you might be surprised to find that you can be the next Nick. The formula is simple. Work a second job, preferably something that you enjoy doing, for 10 months to a year. Then invest this money into 1 or 2 disruptive technologies that you've done a lot of research on. Finally, I invite you to forget that you've invested this $10,000. Forget about it so you won't be tempted to sell your investment prematurely. You should invest in something that you're passionate about. I wish you the greatest of luck in your investments.